Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another quality piece of second monitor content. I'm your host, the Bluegrass Goblin, and today, my co host, Nimmy, say hello, Nimmy,
Howdy, howdy.
and I will give thoughts on everything we know so far about the newly revealed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. We'll talk about some ongoing drama surrounding the secret layers and Xbox's removal from Costco, and a little bit more, but for now, let's dive into today's main topic. We talked on an earlier episode about a mystery set that was slated for March, and that set has been revealed. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So far, all we have is the product guide and a few cards that we're going to go over here. There's some kind of unique products this time, so I thought it might be worth talking about. But, Nimmy, thoughts on Ninja Turtles? How do you feel
Uh,
about
it
them being added to Universes Beyond?
it kind of just fits the norm at this point. I mean, whatever the norm, whatever that is. But I would say it's par for the course. I mean, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender, we have Spider-Man. People think is Stinky, Doctor Who, got Fallout. So we got all these different. Oh, hell, we got Dwight Schrute, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So, I mean, it just fits. I guess at this point, we've seen more crazier things in this. So, just we'll let the teenage turtles in. Why not?
It's kind of weird, and we'll talk in a little bit about the reactions so far to the set already. But I think you're right. Universes Beyond is just kind of kitchen sink at this point. Like, let's get everything we can, throw it in. Well, we're making vegetable soup over here. Everything we got in the kitchen is going in the pot. But to start off the Ninja Turtles product line here, we've got 3 expansion symbols. Personally, I hate when they do this. So it looks like the turtle face is going to be legal in all formats. The turtle shell is going to be legal in eternal formats. And the source material cards, which I think are just like bonus sheets, kind of like from Spider Man with the comic book covers, those are going to have the pizza expansion symbol. I kind of like all 3 of these, and I see why they wanted to use all of them. But they started doing this with Thunder Junction, I think, and I mean the Commander products have always had a separate set symbol. That's okay, I guess. But personally, I'm not a big fan of when they split the set symbols up like this.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the cards themselves, like if they matter or not.
Yeah,
But
it's for format legality, but like just put it in a different product. I don't know. So we have MSRP play boosters at $7, collector boosters at 38, commander decks at 70, bundles at 70, the pizza bundles $100. Turtle Team Up, which we'll talk about, that's a new product. That's going to be $50. I think that's probably your best value, like card for card here. And then Draft Night at 120. We've got some important dates down here on the bottom. Looks like the Turtles debut will be February 10th, and the set is going to release, looks like March 13th?
who the hell knows these days?
Yeah. An insane amount of SKUs for this set. So let's go ahead and get a look at them. Here's some of the cards. This is just your basic treatment on the left. In the middle, we have Kevin Eastman gold signed like sketch cards. I think these are really cool. And then on the far right, these are like the bonus sheets. It looks like the old white, red, and black Turtles comics style for those. What do you think about this stuff so far?
I think the borderless headliner cards are super cool. The signatures, everybody likes their signed cards, and those are super collectible. And it kind of makes me upset that Spider-Man didn't get those because
Yeah.
hell, he's a comic book character. Why didn't he get some of those printings? The only ink stuff we got was from the Venom Secret Lair. Like, why can't the comic book set didn't get comic book art, which is weird.
Yeah, and arguably, turtles are more known for the movies and cartoons than they are the comics, even though they are originally from comic books. And I do like how they've represented every era of Turtles on Turtles Forever over here. Remember when we talked about like speculation surrounding this set? That was a big thing for me is they needed to represent every kind of era of Turtles fandom for this set to work. And I think they're leaning in that direction here, but there's some things that are concerning we'll talk about in a little bit.
And I just real quick, if you want to go back for a second,
Yeah, yeah.
and then also I would mention this: looking at the borderless headliner card, it's also available in the pizza bundle, which I think is pretty interesting too.
Yeah. I think that's good that those will actually show up there. Maybe the pizza bundle contains collector packs and that's why it's that way, but
Yeah,
we'll have to see as we go
well, it just
down.
gives more reason for more people to buy different products.
Oh, for sure. Speaking of the pizza bundle, these are cards that are only available in the pizza bundle. These special borderless treatments here. We've got Master Splinter making a dark ritual of a pizza. It looks
Very stinky.
yeah, and then we've got the pizza lands. Notably here, let's see if I can see it. No, it looks kind of like Raphael's hand has four fingers here. And if you're a big Turtles fan, you know that's not right. So this is the start of the concerning things about the set that we've seen so
Well,
far, and all of them are
it
kind
looks.
of. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But it looks like that's his thumb. He just has a really long ass thumb, like creased up, because it's poking through his sai or his jite, which that's the inconsistency. But it looks like he's
Yeah, we'll
gripping
get
the
to that.
jite. But yeah, I think it's really cool that it has each of the turtles and Splinter each holding one of the pizzas. That's cool. Nice little, nice little detail touch. That's really neat. But overall, these are just gross looking. None of these look appetizing.
Onions and anchovy and clams pizza for the island. Looks like we have mushrooms, limes, and black beans on the swamp pizza. Looks like pepperoni and cranberry on the mountain. I think Mikey's
Broccoli.
pizza looks the most edible. Broccoli and jalapeno.
Can't
Not
forget the banana. Blech.
so. Here's some product details. These are just play boosters and collector boosters. We're all pretty familiar with these. I'll leave this up on the screen for a second if you want to pause and read what's in each one here. Next, we have the commander deck. It's just a single commander deck this time around, and it's Wooburg. I think this is an interesting choice. I was kind of racking my brain at how they were going to do three or four different commander decks, and partner commanders jumped out at me. And we'll look at that here in a little bit, but that's kind of exactly where they've gone here. But they just put them all into one deck and upped the price to $70. Nimi, what's your feeling here on this single commander deck?
First word that comes to mind is gross. Because $70 for a commander deck is a very steep cost, and that's just the MSRP that they want it to be at. And once people already get their pre-orders and scalpers get their hands on this, it's gonna not it's gonna go up significantly. So paying 70 in and of itself is a steep price, and us not knowing what's in the deck itself could be it's very worrisome, at least to me.
Yeah, I think the reprint value is going to have to be pretty strong here for this deck to be worth it at 70.
Yeah, and looking at it from like a new player perspective, because I feel like I'm a relatively new player, like, and we have a lot of people in our friend group that are starting to get into Commander as well. Wooburg is such a hard ask to get into the world of Commander, because you have a lot of color, all the colors that you have to manage and stuff. It can be very uh, not time consuming, but very, what's the word I'm
Budget
thinking of?
consuming.
Budget consuming and just intricate. That just might scare someone off. Like, you get your 10-year-old son that's like, "Hey, I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, here, play this pre-made deck. I don't know what these colors are, Dad." It just seems like a big ask for a new player to start with Wooburg. That's just me.
Yeah, and the land base in here is going to have to be on point for this thing to be as consistent as other precons, even. I think this deck is going to struggle out of the box, but maybe Wizards will surprise us. Maybe there'll be some shocks in here. Maybe that's the reason the price has gone up. But again, it's kind of early days to really know. Now we're getting to the bundles. These are pretty standard now. Again, I'll kind of leave these up for people that want to look at them. Looks like here we're getting an oversized spin down life counter, which, if we remember the Chocobo bundle from a couple episodes ago, it's not pictured here, but I'm hoping it's one of those, like those little plastic life counters that you see people with.
Could add to the value for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna need to with these prices.
Yeah.
And here's the two new products for this set. We have the pizza bundle. This is going to be 9 play boosters, 1 collector booster. That's where we're getting those Kevin Eastman inclusions. 25 non-foil pizza lands, 5 foil pizza lands, 2 foil pizza bundle promo cards, 2 reference cards, whatever that is, 1 oversized spin down life counter, and 1 card storage box, which I assume is the box you see pictured here. This is an interesting kind of thing. I think $100 might be a little bit much for this, but maybe it's all right considering packs are $7 a piece.
Yeah, I think they're overvaluing their pizza lands because you get 25 of them. So you get a ton of lands. I guess if you really like them, then it's worth it. But and you can get basics from everywhere and everything. Hell, just go to your local game stores, ask for some, and they'll give you handfuls. So
And I mean, you
it's
gotta
yeah,
assume the commander deck is gonna have pizza lands in it.
yeah.
You know?
So it's again another big ask for. I mean, it feels more beginner friendly than like other products, which is cool. But again, it's not as intricate as like a Wooburg Commander deck. So I guess this would be your way in if you were wanting to learn how to play the other non-Commander formats.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, we have Turtle Team Up. Form your own team of heroes in a half shell with this co op play experience. And it's going to get 4 play boosters, 4 themed decks. Each deck is themed around one of the 4 main turtles, and there are 60 card decks. And one enemy deck includes 39 cards designed exclusively for the Turtle Team Up experience, and 6 punch out counter sheets, some deck boxes, and a tutorial booklet. So, from what I understand, this is like the enemy deck is kind of automated, and you and your friends can play kind of co op magic against this, almost like the World of Warcraft TCG and their raid decks a long, long time ago, if you ever played that. This is really interesting. Maybe we can all put 10 or 12 bucks in and pick this up and play it.
If we get a full pod.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta get a 4 pod. And that's it for the products. We do have a couple cards revealed so far that we want to look at. Um, they're kind of grouped here just based off of the turtles. Here's your Leonardo stuff. And Nimi, anything that jumps out at you that you want to talk about specifically, just let me know here. I like this Unbreakable Formation reprint with Bebop and Rocksteady and Casey and the turtles here. That's a cool art.
Yeah, I think it's cool that they gave each turtle their own color identity because we see here like I don't think there's much overlap. Like all the Leonardo cards are white, all the Donatello cards are going to be blue. So it's cool that they fit each one of the turtles into the best fitting color identity for Magic, which I think is a nice little touch.
Yeah, and they didn't go. Well, they really couldn't go straight based off of the colors of their bandanas either. But we do have Splinter in black, which I think makes sense for rats. And then we have Raphael in red, and I've seen a little bit of discourse on Reddit talking about how Raphael in every card he's been pictured in so far is using a Jitte and not Psy. And because of that, people are starting to get concerned about the set's overall um, representation of its source material. I think we're too early days. Rev has used Jitte in some of the comics and shows, and I feel like there was a action figure that came with them, but it's very clearly not his iconic weapon. Regardless of that,
Now, now, I'm not much of a Turtles fan, but I do know the weapons for each character. But it seems like it's more of a nod to Magic himself itself, almost kind of like a little Easter egg. At least that's the way I see it, because GTAs are pretty historical when it comes to Magic sense. So I think it fits. I think it's like a cool, like almost like an Easter egg type thing.
yeah, it
But
could
if people don't
be.
like the but if people don't like the consistency of it, if they want the realism or the true to true to the character, I mean, I can see that too.
Yeah, I think it could be we're gonna see something like an Umezawa's Jitte reprint, and that's like Raphael's Sai, is like the overskin on it. But we haven't seen any overskins so far, so it'll be interesting to see where this goes. We've got a few cards for Mikey so far, not a lot, and then we've got some multicolor stuff. We have a couple of bosses from that enemy deck. Looks like Krang and Baxter. So those are pretty cool. Gorgali, Bebop, and Rocksteady. And then this Heroes in a Half Shell is the commander for the Wooburg commander deck.
So one thing that a couple of people were asking the questions on, which some of the cards ask for mutagen tokens, which that's something that is new to Magic. So just wanted to bring it up and address it. Seems like a pretty interesting artifact. I'm sacking it, putting a +1/+1 counter on it on your creatures. So I think it that can have some pretty cool implications for decks going forward, specifically with artifacts.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool ways to utilize little dirtily artifacts like this. Like decks like Raygost will just turn this into a food token, right? And throw it at somebody's face. Or, I mean, the new Jaws that came out. If you can get some mutagen synergy, sack these off, make Jaws bigger, ping the whole table. Some cool stuff to do here with these for sure. Next story, Nimi, you found, or rather encountered, some drama with the Secret Layer sale that happened actually today as of recording.
Yeah, so we talked about it on the last episode about the Jaws secret layer approaching in our comparisons to the PlayStation secret layer. Or I say Jaws specifically because that's the one I was interested in. But the Scare secret layer, more Halloween themed. And according to Reddit on MTG Finance, the first thread you pull up when you open the subreddit is just people just airing their grievances about not being able to get the secret layer, and that seems to just be the common sentiment ever since they switched their model from print to demand to limited quantities. And from people that are kind of unaware, the queue system has been abysmal ever since this started. So one of the comments on the thread bring up there's a sense apparently a new way for people that to skip the queue. So if people don't know a little context in some of the ways before the site was updated, if you put a product that wasn't going out that day, so an older secret layer product, put it in your cart, and you could essentially skip the queue to get whatever you want. And that has since been patched out, but some people still swear it's up, but nothing really says it's there. But now there is a new exploit where when you're sitting in the queue, you get a unique queue ID. So that notifies how you are positioned in the line. Well, apparently some people have been able to copy that queue number give it to multiple accounts, bots, their friends, whoever, and jump the line that way. Stay pun intended, jump the shark and
Yeah.
skip the line.
Yeah, we have a
So
comment from Reddit user Zarla here. It says people found a way to skip the queue by sharing their checkout links. I try not to be an armchair developer, but this is kind of my area experience when it comes to programming. It's incredibly simple to prevent a single SQL database at the scale WotC is operating at, due to the fact they already throttle transactions via the queue line. Basically, you take the unique identifier from the checkout URL. Oh, they're just kind of going into the technicality of
how
it
it
here.
actually works, yeah.
Yeah. But basically, yeah, this is potentially a widespread problem. And I know we jumped in the queue this morning. I was in at noon, and I think you got in a few minutes after me. And
Yeah, I was in the middle of the drive-through, and I was like, "Oh no, did I miss it?" I had to pull over to the side and jump in line real quick.
yeah, and I gotta tell you, I joined the queue right when the sale went live, and I put one thing in my cart. I didn't get the option to check out for like an hour and 50 minutes. And ultimately, by the time I had sat at my computer and dealt with that, I was like, I don't even want this anymore. Like, they had managed to kill my FOMO right at the last second.
Yeah, it this one was honestly ridiculous, and you see it from time to time where some secret layers you can just kind of 10 minutes maybe, like the queue's next to nothing. Like I know a few months ago I did the Baldur's Gate one with Karlach, and I got that and the whole one of the Beholder secret layers. That took 30 minutes maybe at most to complete all the transaction, getting both of those. Had no issue there, and they were still there for a little while. Then you get to this one where the second I was up, because I got it started at, we're on Eastern time, it started at 12. I got in at 12:04. I remember it on the dot. The second I put my thing in the cart and got in the queue, already the bundles were sold out. So
Man.
within literal minutes, you couldn't get a single bundle. And I gritted my teeth and kept waiting in the queue, and I did get the layer that I wanted. So we were cool there, but every 10, 15 minutes you would see this layer sold out, this layer sold out. And it's honestly, it's something needs to change. Something has to give, because I don't think there is a single person on the internet that has said this has been a good experience. Even the people that do end up getting them don't mention it, because it's there's no point in just no point in just making everybody pissed at you for getting what you wanted.
Yeah,
So it's getting to the point where it's just people are just starting to say screw it and not do it anymore.
yeah, and we spoke last week about um, it's getting harder and harder to make money on scalping these layers and flipping them and doing all that. So I wonder how long these things are going to continue, where we just have people dumping hundreds of dollars into a layer, trying to quote unquote corner the market and make money on it. And then, as we've said, you know, 6, 8, 10 months later, we'll rock up to a booth at a convention and there it is, MSRP, because it's been sitting around
Yeah.
the entire time.
Yeah, and it really just alienates the people that are actual fans of whatever secret layer comes out. So
Mm-hmm.
I know there so the big highlight one was the secret layer that had
Demonic Tutor?
demonic tutor in it. Yeah, Kieran Yanner was the artist. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. So you have cards like this that people are obviously going to get. So it's just a shame. Even if you want the cards, it's just impossible to get. And now it comes to a point where it's, especially what they do IPs with mechanically unique ones, it's just people just say, "Oh, I'm a fan of this, but I literally cannot buy this product because scalpers and bots are just beating me to the punch." It's just next to impossible, and it just ruins everything.
Even to the point where people like me fight through all the bots, actually get the opportunity to check out, and they're so put out with the experience of buying that they don't want to give you the money anymore. Like, Wizards needs to change this system. I think it was the professor that proposed, from Wizards' perspective, at least from a customer facing perspective, you don't have to change anything about the language of how you market Secret Lair, right? But just print, let's say you want to print 500 of those demonic tutor layers, excuse me, right? You print 500, you sell them out, and you just let people continue to order it. You have a batch go out early, and then the rest of them you do print to demand. You combine the two systems, you keep the air of FOMO, but everybody that wants a product will eventually get it for MSRP. And from Wizards' perspective, why would you want to allow all of these secondary market entities to scalp your product when you could make that money yourself and just have a secret inside of Secret Lair that everything is truly print to demand, even though it's marketed as though it's limited time? I don't
One
know
thing I
if
will bring up as well, one thing I will bring up, and this might actually change, or this could change some people's perspective and stuff, specifically when it comes to mechanically unique cards. I don't know if we've talked about it, but the Jaws specifically is getting an in-universe equivalent. So that could be one way to alleviate the FOMO, I would suppose. I mean, granted, people want the characters they want, so they'll try their best to get it. But if people want the cards, if they just print it later in a set with just Jace on it instead of Jaws, I mean,
yeah.
not them specifically, but the equivalent, then I think that could have some effect on it too. Just people want to pay for the flair, but if not, they're still able to get the card one way or another without paying the ridiculous prices.
Yeah, I think the problem that people have with that at the end of the day is that every time that Wizards has said, "Oh, we're going to make an in-universe equivalent for this card," I think the big one was like Rick Grimes back in the day when Walking Dead first came out. It takes months, if not years, for those cards to be released, and with the amount of product that's coming out these days, by the time the universes beyond commander that you want gets a in-universe equivalent, you might not even be interested in that card anymore because 3 or 4 or 6 sets have come out since then, and you just have forgotten all about it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's why I said it's going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out too, because just another. It could be a test from Wizards to see if this alleviates some of the pressure, but at the end of the day, it's just the system sucks and it needs to change. And the only way it's going to change is if people just stop buying.
Did Jaws end up selling out?
Oh, of course. The only thing right now are the Furbies. The Furbies, not the confetti foil, just the regular foils. Dreaming Darkly, Trick or Treat, and that's it. So mostly Furby. So if you want Furby for some reason, if they're '90s mamas, or if you're a Furby fan, they're still here.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that were excited for those, but clearly, you can see a lot of the ones that are still here are ones that don't have mechanically unique cards in them. It's a shame, really.
Yeah, and overall, I mean, the videos have already been out about the monetary value from these. They weren't. None of them are really up to snuff except two, maybe, and those were the first ones to go. So it's rough trying to beat the market. You're ice skating uphill essentially, where people with bots have jetpacks.
Yeah.
So it's rough. It's rough for people that want to get cool art.
Yeah. Rough experience overall this time. Go ahead and get in if you still want any of these Furbies. We've got a little bit more drama coming from the video gaming side of things. Looks like recently Xbox has been pulled from store shelves at Costco and Sam's Club. What have you heard about this so far, Nimi?
Well, mostly from you,
Yeah.
but from the way I understand it is essentially it's business decisions made by the two companies just to not have the product anymore. And it makes sense given the kind of downward spiral, the slippery slope that Xbox has been on lately. Because the biggest thing is the price hikes for the newest Xboxes are pretty much through the roof. And I know they've talked about how it's supposed to be the tariffs that they're trying to compensate for, but I mean, paying $800 for an Xbox, like, granted, it is the special edition, but wanting to spend that much money on a gaming console at that point, just get a PC,
Yeah,
right?
my goodness.
Like
You
it.
can build a decent PC for 800. You could save up for
Well,
another month or two and spend 1,000 at that point.
yeah. Well, the way PC parts are these days, you can get something that'll last a really good time and play everything. Like if you go to Sam's Club or Costco, they have pre-builts that are in this price range, every like monitor, keyboard, and all. So it's kind of insane that the ask that Microsoft wants you to do to say, hey, spend all this money on this console, where you can literally do all of it and more with the PC.
Yeah, it's wild. I saw a forum post here on Icon Era that it looks like people have just been exploring their local Sam's Clubs and Costco's, and here's the PlayStation section. Excuse me, and no Xbox. Here's Aura, no Xbox. And somebody did a search on Costco.com for Xboxes, and even the website no longer has them. I think the main issue here is the price increase, and then you combine that with Xbox's already slow sales in these kind of brick and mortar stores, and you create an asset that big box retailers like Costco and Sam's Club just don't want to hold on to. There's too much money tied up in it. It sits around, it takes up space, and Costco's famous for bulk orders. You're not coming in and buying 15 Xboxes. You're going to get one.
Well, even that too, like you have to think if they're selling it to the consumer in bulk, they're buying it from the manufacturers in bulk.
Right.
So if they don't see a profit margin in it, then they're saying, what's the point? Because if they're going to have product just sit there, especially with the rising prices just for the individual consoles, like they're just never going to sell. Especially when you have two competitors that are clearly cheaper and just as comparable in terms of quality, if not better.
Yeah, and tying this back to our first two stories from today, you're going to see a lot of different strategies from companies as the economy kind of shifts. And it seems that Wizard's strategy is to increase prices overall, and maybe that will slow sales volume, but the top line sales will still be good. And it looks like Xbox is increasing prices even at the distributor level. So there's not a lot of meat on the bone left for retailers. And that'll probably drive sales back to places like Xbox.com, where Microsoft can ostensibly hold on to a larger portion of that sale as far as profit goes. So, really kind of an
Yeah.
interesting move from Microsoft here, and combine that with their recent price increase on Game Pass. We'll keep an eye on this and see how this shakes out over the coming months. But
Yeah, feel for all the Xbox players that are watching and chatting in the comments. Like, it's it's an expensive hobby, just gaming in and of itself, and they're not making it easy for people to stay with it.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a dedicated episode to that at some point, like the rising cost of gaming, and like have a bank landing on me and you in the thumbnail or something.
That'll work. So in other news, a game came out of the woodwork that's thought been dead with new updates. This one being Dragon Ball Fighters. So I know both you and I were playing this game relatively early in its inception, and we've had some good memories with it. Granted, we didn't play with each other, but I loved it. I thought it was a really fun game, and it's crazy to see a game of this age still getting support, and not just in the way of new characters with DLC, but they're adding. If you're watching the trailer with the silence on, they're getting new tournaments set to start back up in competitive scene, and a new balance patch update which just went live yesterday as of time of recording. So it's very cool to see a developer breathe life into a relatively older game.
Yeah, fighting games like this typically have a shelf life, and you were saying the game's what 7 years old at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2018.
that kind of exceeds it. We're almost 9 years away. We're almost into 2026, and typically, I think Capcom is kind of the gold standard for fighting game devs as far as like balance patches and consistency and updates and things go. And they usually keep a game alive for about 6 years. I think this is kind of unfortunate for people that wanted a Fighters 2. I think this kind of shows everyone that that's going to be a few years away if that does come around. But
Well, see, I've always been on the opposite mindset, kind of playing, not even playing devil's advocate. This is just what I believe. Um, I think it's cool that if you already own this game, they're still keeping it up to date, and everyone likes new shininess, new hotness, which is cool. But if you're still getting updates on a game and it's still cranking out the content and you're able to get hours into it, I think it's really good from an investment standpoint. Because, like we just talked about with the rising cost of gaming, like you need to get your money's worth from anything that you play. So, being able to go back to a game with a fresh coat of paint on it is awesome to me.
oh yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. I think some people will be disappointed, but ultimately, I think it's a good thing. I think what Fighters does really well is allow for a lot of, or at least when I played, it kind of allowed for a lot of player expression because you got to pick, three characters for your team and combine supers and switch between them, and then just the flavor of the game overall. Just it feels like Dragon Ball more than any other Dragon Ball fighting game I ever played. So if you haven't
Yeah,
played
and
Fighters before, it's on sale apparently. But if you already own it, maybe it's time to re-download it.
yeah, and just looking at the patch notes, we won't go too much in depth on it, but essentially it was just buffs around the board. So everybody got some really cool things. There's new changes to the major mechanics for all the characters, but a lot of everyone got something essentially. So I like that type of I like that type of mindset where in order to balance everything out, you just bring everybody up instead of bringing people down. I think it just opens more options for people to experiment and try with, and it keeps the good characters still good, but it just brings everyone up to their level to make everything even that way.
Yeah, I think as long as things don't get too degenerate, I'm a fan of buffs over nerfs, just in general. Like you said, just bring the characters that aren't doing well up to the level of the characters that are, and see what kind of happens from there. But as you were saying, it looks like every single character in this game got sweeping changes. I know I was a big fan of. I played Broly as point. Gogeta and then Frieza on the end so I could get the level 3 install. Um, what kind of teams did you play?
I had some of the DLC characters. I really like Bardock. He's one of my just favorite Dragon Ball characters, and he was just super fun to play. And then I always had Yamcha on my team as well. If you're getting into fighters, just don't sleep on Yamcha. Yamcha's a monster in this game, and I love how they've handled him. He's so much fun to play. And usually my third character is always some type of flex spot. If I needed a good super or some other character just for a matchup, I would always have someone flex in the back.
Oh, yeah, you just reminded me. I like to play a lot of just Super Saiyan Goku as well, just for like a old school kind of low power, quote
Vanilla.
unquote, low power character.
Yeah.
But that is one thing fighters did so much better than, I want to say, the Budokai series, is that characters that aren't as powerful like in the show or in the manga are just as good in the game. Like there's some pretty unique setups you can do with Krillin. He like throws a little rock and can kind of like get you into hit stun that way. And Yamcha's pretty tricky and slippery. And then Wolfang Fist is gonna do just as much damage as like a Gallic gun from Vegeta. It's not power scaled in that way like a lot of Dragon Ball games tend to do.
Oh, funny enough, you mentioned Krillin with his new buffs. I was watching some videos like someone was literally like dribbling one of the his opponent like a basketball, just constantly knocking him down in pop ups. It's really fun watching the people's videos on combo strings and stuff they can do now. It's honestly it's insane.
God, you're making me want to dive back in. I've been playing a lot of fighting games recently. And you said we hadn't played together, but I just remembered we did play together once at that Halloween party we went to. Although I don't think we ever played each other. We were both playing on the same console at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I've known you a good amount of time now.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Don't copyright strike us.
We've got a little bit of weird news to round things out tonight. We have the Department of Homeland Security versus Pikachu and an assortment of musical artists. Nimi, you sent me this article earlier today, actually. What is going on here?
Yeah, it's it's honestly the dystopian future that everybody hates to see or hated to see in media, but now it's real life. So I think most people have seen it at this point where the Department of Homeland Security made a Pokemon style in anime intro using the Pokemon theme while they're arresting illegal immigrants and doing conducting their raids, which doesn't feel real considering they're a government agency, but here we are living in 2025 where anything is possible. So, needless to say, a lot of people were outraged by this, like just making light of everything that they've been doing and just the blatant disrespect for human decency. And Nintendo made it in an official statement. Granted, it's a small one, but it's a statement nonetheless. There we go. So, their direct quote: Our company was not involved in the creation or distribution of this content, and permission was not granted for the use of our intellectual property. So, most people seeing a video like this think, oh, it's just some shit poster on Reddit or 4chan just acting a fool, thinking, haha, I'm so funny and edgy. But when it's your actual Department of Homeland Security making something like this, you just kind of go, that's the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and
What are your thoughts?
it doesn't really, like, if you want to try and look at it from a cynical political angle, like, I don't think it really garners you any support. You're just kind of doing a victory lap and kind of dunking on people in their lowest moment. And I think they've been pretty brazen with their use of other people's intellectual property. If we scroll down this article here, Theo Vaughn, they used a clip of him pretty recently where he was talking to, I believe, a fan or someone he knew personally, and he said, "Heard you got deported, bro. Bye," or "dude," or I don't want to misattribute the quote. And the Department of Homeland Security turned that into a TikTok. Jess Glynn, who is an artist I'm not familiar with, has had her intellectual property used as well. Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, Beyonce, the Rolling Stones. So ultimately, I feel like a lot of this stuff here at the end of this article, there's a blurb about what the law says. And ultimately, I think the DHS can make a case here for fair use as far as like the legality of this. But to me, the morality of it is just, I want to say disgusting. I want to say a lot more, but we'll leave it there. Ultimately, like I said before, if you want to think about it cynically and kind of like take the humanitarian angle out of it, at the very least, it's poor sportsmanship, right? Like,
Yeah,
everyone
we're
knows you beat somebody in a game of Magic, you don't play victory music and get up on the table and start dancing. And when you are the government, you're supposed to have, I want to say, a sense of like, dare I say, like nobility and decorum about your actions. And this just kind of feels like the worst person you know comboing the whole commander pot out on turn 3 and then playing Who Let the Dogs Out from their phone speakers on full volume.
Yeah, I would say any department of our federal government should have some degree of professionalism, even if you want to try to reach a younger audience and try to meme. I feel like there's a time and place for everything, and just like you said, rubbing in people's faces is just very poor form. And we're not a political channel in any sense of the imagination. We let people have their own opinions, and we're not going to sway you. It's not what we're here for.
I think,
So
funny enough, if we were to talk about our politics here, people would be like, "How are you guys friends?"
yeah, yeah, I think that would probably be the case. But that being said, it's it's just disgusting at the end of the day. Like no matter which side of the fence you're on, because there's different ways to do this and get your message across, and just equating it to a child's game. It's just awful at the end of the day.
Yeah. Wise words for a heavy subject that somehow involves Ash Ketchum and Theo Vaughn. Is this Mad Libs or is this a news story? What's going on here?
I'd I'd say I'd say this we do live in a dystopia when our federal government is going to blows with a electric rat.
Well, everyone, I think that's our show for tonight. Um, just remember, love your friends, love your neighbor, take care of your wallet. Anything else you want to leave with tonight, Nemi, before we say goodbye to the good folks listening?
Yeah, I think there's some crazy stuff going on in the world, as our last article shows, but there's also good stuff going on. So, like the goblin said, be kind to one another, play some games, forget about your problems, have a little fun, buy a turtle or two, because that's pretty neat. Bro, dust off that old controller to play a game that's 8 years old because it's getting updates. There's good to be found when you look for it. Just have a good night, everybody. Let's hear sound off in the comments. Let's see what you got to say.